Good evening. I wanted to share with you some support packages we've been putting together for any families who may welcome some good news during these difficult times. So I've put together a PowerPoint because we've come up with a number of things of which some parents and some families may find useful. So support for our families over this very difficult time. So what we've put together is education and some finance packages. So firstly, I wanted to just bring you up to speed with where we are with education. We're continuing to do all we can to prevent your child missing their education when they are isolating because either a family member is waiting a test result or has tested positive. So we've successfully managed to do the following for many children who are isolating, and I thought it was worth sharing with these so you know what to expect if this was happened to you. So one, we're offering live lessons through Zoom by a teaching assistant who is undertaking teacher training. So we have one of our teaching assistants who would be teacher training at the moment. And she looks over what the children are doing in class, and then she Zooms them and has one-to-one sessions from their home. So during the day, they may have one or two lessons connected to what is going on in class in order to make sure that when they come back to class, they haven't missed out on their education. So that's the first thing we do, is have a teaching assistant work on that planning. The other thing we have successfully done, starting last week and actually done it with more children this week, we've Zoomed children who are isolating into their classroom on a laptop so they can be part of the lesson. And this has been most successful for our children in years 3, 4, 5 and 6. We currently have 5 children who are learning from home because they're having to isolate, but they're Zoomed into the classrooms. They're watching the introduction from the teacher. They are group working with the children within their class, and they're doing that almost like what I'm doing with you through the computer. And that what we're finding is as the children then come back to school, they are actually not any further behind than any other child. And that's what our intention is. All the children who are isolating are also receiving home packs, and those are being delivered by staff. So if your child is isolating and we've not yet got hold of you, call the school and we'll do all we can to either set up a one-to-one lesson or Zoom them in. And which one we choose will depend on you and what's right for your family, but also will depend on what we can offer. So at that particular time, depending on what's going on in that classroom. So that's education. So a number of things that we're doing there. Financial support. So there's 4 different ways you can gain some help. And it isn't just for those children, those families who've got children on free school meals. So firstly, we've already sent out a letter asking people if they would like to be considered for a food parcel to collect from school in the last week of term to support you over the Christmas holidays. And of course, it won't be massive, but it will be as big as we can make it. We're starting to put these together at the moment, and we've managed to get some funds from Greg's, the bakery, have given us some funds in order to provide for these. And also we're also talking to supermarkets to see any donations that they can get. So we're doing all we can to make that as big as possible. Please let us know by replying to the text. So after this, I'm going to send out a text so that you can reply to say, I'd like to be considered for any of these. And I'm also going to send this out on a letter, so you'll also be able to let us know. Again, as I've just said, they may not be huge, but I'm sure every little will help those families who really are maybe struggling in these times. And as I've just said, the food parcel is for any families who need it. So that's the first way in which we can help. The second way is we've managed to gather some Christmas gifts for children who attend parks. And again, we haven't obviously got 500, we've got 500 pupils, but we have got quite a few. They're not massive, but we want to make sure everybody has something to open on Christmas morning. And again, this is offered to all our families. So if you would like to benefit by having a gift given to you, then for you to then pass on to your child on Christmas morning, please let us know and we will make sure that we sort that out for you. So there's 2 ways that we are looking at helping our families. So the third way is we've managed to access a limited amount of funds from Greg's for families who need to replace their broken fridge, freezer, fridge freezer, cooker, washing machine, or support with clothing inclusive of school uniform, supermarket vouchers, beds and bedding. And this again is offered to all our families who may have been hit hard due to the COVID crisis. And when somebody asked me today, is this only for pupils on pupil premium? Absolutely not. We are very aware there's a large number of families working families who either due to furlough or due to being self-employed or due to being made redundant or just having massive, being on 0-hour contracts or having massive reductions in salaries, who will be suffering at the moment, and we want to do all we can to help. So again, you can access that irrespective if you're a free school meal family or not. Then the final thing, which really is for our working parents. So this is the Winter Grant COVID Hardship Fund, and we've done this joined up with Leicester City. And what Leicester City City Council have asked us to do is to identify working families who have been hit hard financially due to COVID. For example, these might be the furloughed, they might have been made redundant, the self-employed, etc., who we can put forward for support for the Winter Grant Hardship Fund. This can include support with food bills and food, and we will refer you, and then the local authority will take that on as a referral process. By asking to be considered, you're giving us obviously the authorisation to pass on your details to the local authority, who will then get in touch with you. And again, like I said, this is offered for those parents who are working or were working but are no longer, or have had their salaries impacted due to COVID. Okay, so there are 5 things: 1 to do with education, and 4 to do with financial help. What is quite difficult for us, we know our pupil premium families, we don't know our working families who may be struggling for no fault of their own at the moment. So please reply to the text and let us know if there's only any of those 4 things that you are interested in. Or who would help you. So as I've said, next steps, reply to the text and let us know you'd like to be considered, and identify which one or ones you'd like to be considered for. We've got 500 pupils, but we will get something to all of those who let us know they need it. And how much we get to you obviously will depend on how many people are in need. And we will continue to work tirelessly throughout the rest of this term to access as many grants and funds of which we can then pass on to you. So we're doing all we can to support you through these difficult times. Please help us by the following. Let us know if you want to be considered by the end of the week, because obviously these things we are setting up and we are buying things with some of the funds. Staff are bringing in donations as well. And we want to start to put those together so they're ready to go by the end of term for you. Can you also help us by not sharing on social media if you're unhappy with the support you receive? Remember, staff have given up their own time to do the best they can, and firms have done their best to give as much as we can, but we do have 500 pupils. And so if it's not as massive, or the present isn't quite as big as what you expected, if you can not share it on social media, that would really be helpful. The other things you can do to help, and this is about really keeping us all safe, which is about not sending your child to school if you're waiting test results. So if you as a parent have had symptoms and you're waiting results, please keep your children off school until those results come back and they're negative. We have had a few cases where it has been a bit close, where people have gone for tests and the children have come to school. Luckily, they've turned out to be negative, so it's not been an issue. But if they had been positive, that could have left us with more of an issue. So again, if you're waiting test results, or anybody in the family, in the household is waiting test results, if you can make sure that the children remain at home until those test results come back negative. Obviously not sending your child to school if they have symptoms, and I think everybody's been fantastic at that, so thank you very much. Not wearing a face mask if possible when you will come onto the playground. And again, I know there's families that or parents who can't wear face masks, and I absolutely get that. But for us that can wear them, if we can, that helps keep everybody safe. I also know that time when you're running out the door to get them into school, you've got their water bottle, you've got their book bag, but you've forgotten your face mask. And again, don't feel guilty about that. But if we can try to remember as many days as possible, that would keep us all much safer. Remember to keep your distance from each other. Come to school on time, collecting on time, leaving on site as soon as possible. Remember, we have a staggered day, start and end, and that's in order to reduce the amount of people on the playground. And keeping your distance from each other, even if it's raining and there's only one shelter. We have had a small number of parents who've tested positive, and when you're stood under your shelter, you might consider it's better to get a little bit wet than stand too close to somebody who may have COVID but yet be displaying symptoms. So yeah, keep your distance. As I've said about coming to school on time, come in ones if possible. And again, I know if you're picking up a number of children, that might be quite difficult. But if you are bringing older siblings with them and they don't need to be there, can you make sure that they stay off site and then meet them off site, just so we can reduce the amount of people that we have on site and therefore increase the amount of space that we can put between us. Remember, we're still in lockdown, so children and adults should not be visiting each other's houses. And if we all do this, school will remain a safe place, and it continues to be a safe place. So let's keep it that way by continuing to do what we can do to keep our children and each other safe. So I'd like to finish with a massive thank you for your support, and please reply if there are any of those financial packages that would be helpful. Okay, thank you.